What do you think of the new killer? I'm kind of disappointed. On the one hand, I love Castlevania. I played so many of the games as a kid. The issue is that this killer, Dracula, obviously, he's kind of just like a mishmash of stuff we already have. So you have his Dracula form, and that's just Pyramid Head, basically. His projectile. Just a couple tweaks, like the fact that it can only go over small obstacles, small walls, or sorry, short walls. And wolf form is just bloodhound. Okay, it's a bloodhound. They turn his wolf form into these two perks basically, and then they also gave wolf form Demogorgon's pounce. So wolf form is just Demogorgon basically combined with Oni, because this has the orb collection thing, the scent orbs. So to power the Demogorgon pounce, you have to collect Oni's orbs. And then his bat form is pretty much just spirit, because you can't see the survivors, but you can see their scratch marks. You're faster, but you can't see the survivors. Also, the bat form can teleport to windows, and it's basically Dredge, spirit and Dredge put together. They've run out of ideas. If you go back in time, Trapper is the original Trapper, Wraith is the original invisible guy, Hillbilly is the chainsaw guy with the dash, and then Nurse and Huntress, they're fine. Myers is fine. Like, when I say fine, I mean unique. Their niche hasn't been contaminated yet. These six are fine. And then Hag is probably the first killer to sort of intrude on another killer's niche, because she's also a trapper type killer. And then there's Doctor, and Doctor is actually pretty unique. These six are fine, then Doctor is fine. This guy is just like a blatant ripoff of Hillbilly. I know he doesn't have the dash, but he's just a chainsaw guy, okay? He's a chainsaw one-shot guy. Basically the same, just their power is tweaked a little differently. And then there's Freddy, and I cannot stand Freddy, because he's just like a trapper killer. And there's so much spoil potential for him. When Freddy released, he was quite unique in how his power worked. He would have to establish line of sight with a survivor and then be within 7 or 8 meters to put them into the dream state. And then it took 7 seconds for them to fall asleep before he could actually damage them. The chases took way too long with that mechanic. And then there's Pig. What they did with Pig was that the head trap is the first debuff of its kind where it had the survivors interacting with objects that are on the map. That makes her the first of her kind, the first killer that has that type of mechanic. So I would say she's unique. So then there was Clown here, and Clown, did any other killer have a slowdown type of power? No, I don't think anyone did. So that about him was unique, but he was also a projectile killer, a range killer. I'm not sure if you would call just slowing survivors that special. I suppose it's better than making him another trapper killer. Spirit, when she came out, yeah, she is unique, because no other killer had the whole, like, survivors become invisible thing, so. Oh, Legion is the first killer where they invented the killer instinct mechanic and the deep wound mechanic. So I guess in that respect, he is unique. Plague is also unique. No other killer could infect objects like she could. So good for her. And then Ghostface is just like the light version of Myers, you know. Demogorgon, he's just like a hag who can teleport, just a different condition to teleporting, so I wouldn't say he's original in terms of his power. Oni. Oni is just Myers, except they gave him the orb collecting thing to power his demon form, so Hillbilly Myers hybrid. That's what I called him when he came out. And then there's Deathslinger. Deathslinger, not really special. He just has like a projectile that travels faster than the Huntress's hatchets. Pyramid Head, is he the first killer to have a missile that goes through walls? Well, there's Doctor. His projectile does not injure survivors, but Pyramid Head's does. I'm not sure if that's enough to say that he's unique, but he is the first killer to have, he can leave trails on the ground. I don't know if it's called modifying the map, but I guess in essence, the trails are just traps. And if you step over them, then you're kind of dumb, because you can just crouch over those things. But I wouldn't say he's that unique. The trails are just traps. Then there's Blight. He's just Hillbilly on steroids, you know, so he's not very special. Twins. Yeah, Twins was very unique when she came out. No other killer could be in 2 places at once, you know. Trickster is just... he's kind of like Plague and Huntress combined, because you'd have to build up It's not an infection meter, but it's kind of like infection. And you have to keep hitting them with the projectile to fill up the debuff bar. And that's kind of what Plague does. He has to vomit on survivors, fill up the infection, then they get injured. Same thing with Trickster, so he's not really special. Nemesis, I mean, he's kind of just like Plague. He has infection just like her. It's a little different how he applies it, though. It's kind of like Plague. There's interactables on the map. You have to pick up the vaccines to get rid of the infection. I want to think about Pinhead. Okay, his chain hunt is similar to Freddy's microsleep, where over time they will go into the dream state. The difference is that instead of the dream state, you get harassed by hooks. It's really annoying. I mean, there's no killer that summons chains, obviously, but like his chains incapacitate survivors. So incapacitation was a mechanic that came out with twins. When Victor latches onto you, he incapacitates you. So you can't do anything, really, until you get him off. Same thing with the chains, so I suppose he's unique, but he didn't really feel that special. I still don't really like his design, the way his power feels to use it, so. Artist? Was Artist special? I mean, she could summon the birds, but it is technically a projectile, and it kind of makes me think of Huntress. It's a projectile that's delayed. You can delay it, you can summon up to 3 of them. It is used in different scenarios, so we'll let her be a special, unique killer for that, I suppose. Sadako. Sadako is just Demogorgon and I don't know. It kind of like Wraith. Yeah, I'd say like Wraith and Demogorgon is kind of like Sadako. Yeah, she doesn't feel that special to me. And you have Dredge. Okay, I mean, he has that little teleport thing with his power, but like, I don't know, it just feels weird to use. I don't like Dredge. I don't like the way he feels to play. So, I mean, teleporting to lockers is okay, but like the whole leaving behind the remnants and then teleporting back to it, it feels clunky. It feels awkward. I don't like it. But is it special though? Is it unique? I mean, can any other killer teleport to where they've been? I mean, Hag can, and Freddy can teleport to Jen's. I don't know, but it's not exactly the same. But I don't know. I don't like Dredge. Okay, whatever. Maybe he's special, but I don't like him. Wesker, he has a double dash. He's just a dashing killer. Okay, it's kind of like Blight. Kind of like he reminds me a little bit of Nurse, except he can't go through walls. So it's like a Nurse and a Blight combo. His infection is just like Plague or Nemesis, so not special. Knight was very special when he came out. He's the only killer that could have 2 killers on the map at the same time. Like, could you say that for Nemesis had the zombies though? Maybe I'll take that back about Nemesis not being special. He did have the zombies, so he's the first killer to have bots helping him hunt the survivors. So maybe that's special about him. But his tentacle, the infection, not special. But yeah, Knight had the first, I don't know if it's the first AI, but it's like first AI that felt like it was actually useful in hunting survivors. So I'd say he's pretty special, yeah. Skull Merchant was garbage. I can't stand Skull Merchant so much. Like, her release, nobody liked her. I don't think anybody likes her. They still don't like her. The drones, were the drones unique? I mean, the way that they work is kind of unique because they have those scanning lines and you have to dodge those in order to not get scanned. But is there another killer that does kind of like that? Oh, her original design was awful, by the way. She, before the whole scanning line thing, the drones had 360 degrees of detection, so she could activate a drone during a chase, and then the entire loop would be covered in like a red danger area, and it would fill up your lock-on meter. So you had no response to that because the drone would be unhackable, and you would just build up the lock-on meter until you became exposed. Let's see. Singularity with his cameras. What do you think of the cameras? I don't know. I think the camera system was pretty unique. No other killer could like survey areas from afar. It kind of felt like twins, except you have like 6 or 8 twins on the map at the same time. But then he had the teleporting thing, and by this point, we have like 5 or 6 killers who can teleport around, so that's not very special. But the camera system was kind of cool. Yeah, and then there's Xenomorph, and he's not. I mean, I know there's a whole digging underground thing and traversing the map like that. I mean, that's a cool transition and a cool like visual thing, but in essence, it feels a lot like Demogorgon, except your portals are already placed on the map for you. And then his tail just feels like a better Nemesis whip. It just doesn't infect anybody. But one unique thing about him is that he introduced the flame turrets, and I think that's the first mechanic where survivors could deploy weapons on the map that could mess with the killer. So in that aspect, he had something unique about him, but otherwise his power was kind of like copy paste. And then there's Chucky, and I already talked about him a bit earlier, but yeah, he's kind of like Ghostface. You can activate your stealth on demand, Ghostface and Pig, because you have stealth on demand and a dash on demand. Well, while you're stealth, whatever. Not very special. The unknown, like I said earlier, is just like Hag with her iridescent shoe add-on or whatever it is. Vecna, I think, is special because he has the spellbook. They've never introduced a spellbook mechanic where you can choose different aspects of the power to use in different situations. So I do think that's unique about him. So yeah, in my opinion, out of all these killers, let's see, yeah, we have 40 killers in the game now. And I would say probably only half of them are truly unique. The rest of them are like hybrids.